All right, good afternoon, everybody. Today we are happy to be hosting a mini PIP for electrical electronics engineers on webinar. And electrical electronics engineers, we have both heavy current and light current engineers in the house. So our schedule is as follows. First of all, it is, I would like to note that two hosts, I Indolo and my co-host Diana Wedanji. So the session will be as presented here on your screen. We will have the first session we will be taken through by Engineer Ohaga, and then we will have a small question area. And I think members can start writing the questions from my side so that I can, I'll be able, it's either me or Diana will be able to ask. You can write to us privately so that we'll be easy, we will be able to check them privately and ask questions on your behalf so that we don't waste time. After that, we will have Engineer Kahora Wachira, then the same scenario, and then Engineer Wanjala, Eric, later on, and then we will have Engineer Andrew Masila, and then we will wind up later with Engineer Ohaga, who will be closing it on for us. I would like to thank Engineer Ohaga for taking his time to bring us the panelists today, and for ensuring that we try to keep in touch with the young graduate engineers outside there who want to move to the next status of their career, that is the professional registration. Diana, you have anything to say?
Yes, thank you, Engineer Ndolo. So we'll be recording this session. In case your internet drops off or something of the sort, don't worry, you'll see it on YouTube. So let's all ensure our microphones are muted so that we don't distract the presenters. Thank you to all engineers who have created their time, the panelists today, to come and educate us on the registration process. We are excited to have you. Thank you.
So Engineer Ohaga, I will allow you to, I will allow you, you'll be my co-host for now because you'll be able to share your presentation if you have any on your side. That's okay with you?
That's okay.
Just a minute. All right. Right, now you can share your screen, your presentation, and then
there we go. I hope it is visible.
Yes, Engineer, it's visible.
Thank you so much. Allow me to take this chance to welcome all of us, the graduate engineers who are on board, and everybody else. I'm happy to be here today. My name is Eric Ohaga. I'm a member of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, and I'm the second vice president-elect of the IEK. And today I'm happy to just present to you the transition process from a graduate engineer to a professional engineer for electrical engineers in Kenya. And we want to make this thing so much enjoyable. I want the engineers who are on board to just relax. Please, let's not have any stress on this registration process, because I can assure you it's one of the simplest things that we can achieve within 243 days, as we will see as this particular presentation goes on. Now, I want to start by giving some statistics about the profession of engineering in Kenya currently as we speak. Now, from EBK point of view, we have 2,332 registered engineers. This is the data as of December 2019. Out of these 2,332, 408 are consulting engineers, 1924 are professional engineers, and 13178 graduate engineers. Now, from IK point of view, and as per the discipline, we can see very clearly that civil engineers are the majority in terms of numbers, and they constitute about 62%, which is about 3,119, followed by electrical engineers at 1,704, then mechanical engineers at 1,404, and then agricultural engineers at 1,316, at 316. Now, as electrical engineers and mechanical engineers, you can see this disparity between civil engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and agricultural engineers. And the reason why we are here today is to be able to bridge this particular gap between the disciplines so that we have a more normal curve. Now, from the gender point of view, it has been worse. You can see the male are 6,007 and the female are 436. This is such a big disparity also in the profession. And also, as engineers, and especially the professional engineers, we need to hold hands with our female engineers so that we can mentor them, we can coach them, so that the numbers can grow from 436 to about 1,000 in the next 1 or 2 years. Now, from the UN and the UNESCO point of view, one engineer is supposed to serve 2,300 people. And this is from a developing country point of view. Now, where are we as a country today? One engineer is serving about 20,583. Where do we want to be? Now, with a population of 48 million currently, we require 19,200 professional engineers today. Now, in our strategic plan, we oversee that we should be having 20,000 engineers by the year 2023. But you can see still the disparity is very big, that today we require to have 19,200 professional engineers if you are to serve 2,500 population as required by UNESCO. Now, I want to take you to the formats of the training and experience report and the professional report. These are the two key documents that are required for one to become a professional engineer. And we want to make it very simple for our young graduate engineers who aspire to become professional engineers. We have standardized this particular document. All that will be required from the members of this particular fraternity is just to use this particular format and submit their reports. So the first document that you're going to look at is the training and experience report. Now, assuming that the people who are listening to me have 3 years experience post registration with EBK, then we are eligible for starting the registration process. And this is the format for the training and experience report. Now, the title page will appear exactly like this. All we require to you to do is just to copy and paste this in your document and put the title of your training and experience here, put your name, and then indicate the EBK number and the IEK number, and the month of submission and the year of submission of this particular report, either to IEK or to EBK. So the title page looks exactly like this. So all we require from you is just to put your name, your registration number, both IEK and EBK. And this page does not have any number. It doesn't have any page number. Then you move to the second page, which is the declaration and certification. Now, this is also been standardized for you. All you require to do is to copy and paste in a clean page, and then put your name, your registration number, and your IEK number. The same to certification. Your supervisor will be able to certify this particular page. He will only need to sign and put his name and the EBK and the IEK number. And therefore, the numbering of the pages starts on this page, whereby we have the Roman number 1 from declaration and certification. Then the second page is on the summary of training and experience report. Now this report, this summary has 5 columns, as you can see. The first column is on the period. The second column is on the situation. The third column is on the description of the work done. The fourth column is the supervisor stroke the position of that particular supervisor. And then the last but not least column is on the duration in months. When you're starting to document your training and experience report, it starts at the university. You can see the first row is on the university. So the period is the time you joined the university to the time you completed your university. So for example, if you joined the university in 2000 and left in July 2005, second column is the name of that particular university. So you just put the university's name on that second column. And then the third column is the work done. What did you undertake at the university level? And then the supervisor in this case becomes the chairman of the department. Now, if you're electrical, it is the chairman of the electrical department that read your name during the graduation. And then the duration in months, we know many courses or programs take 5 years, and therefore that one will come to 60 years.
$60 months.
Yes, so 60 months, that is equivalent. Hello, Engineer Ndolo.
Yeah, I can hear you. You said 60 years. I wanted to correct that it's 60 months. You said 60 years. I wanted to correct members that it is 60 months, not 60 years. Continue. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello, Engineer.
Yes, I can hear you both.
All right. Engineer Ohaga, you can continue. Diana, let him tell him to continue. I think he can't hear us, but we can hear him.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Engineer. Please continue.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Hello.
Let me give him a call. Yes, Engineer Ohaga, we can hear you.
Hello, Engineer. Hello.
Engineer, you can't hear us. You can continue. We can hear you loud and clear.
You can be heard. You can be heard.
Proceed.
I think he's having problem with his headset. That's why, but his mic is okay.
Hello. I'm not hearing anything. You can hear me. It's Ndolo who was talking. Then I tried asking you. You are getting me, then let me continue.
Yeah, you can hear your conversation.
So I've talked to him. He should be able to get back. Okay, now he's all muted.
Okay, anyway, engineer was doing a presentation and he was presenting the format of your background training, which he said it starts at the university. But then I will then again, when we during the question session rather, I will ask him why then does EBK and IEK insist on having KCPE certificates then? We will have to ask that later. Engineer, you're back. You can hear us. Just unmute your mic, because you are still a host.
Hello, Engineer.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry for this. Hello.
Yes.
You're able to hear me?
Yes. Yes. Proceed. You can be heard.
I think sorry. I think there was something wrong with the headphone.
Yeah. Proceed,
Okay.
please.
We were on this particular table, 1.1, summary of time spent. University education. And we had stated up there that you start from the period, and this period starts from the university, from the time you began your university to the end. And the first column is on the period, and the second column is on the institution. University, we said many a times the course is programmed for 5 years. So if it is 5 years, then it is 5 times 12, which gives you 60 months. And you know, during the university time also, you have a chance to go to the for attachments. You need to indicate the attachments that you attend. In the second column, you can see company XX means the company that once goes for that attachment, and then you can indicate what you did in that particular attachment. If you had a chance of going for 2 attachments, then you indicate on company XXX. XX, and the supervisor is on that supervisor's, the 4th column. And then the duration is taken there. And then if you spend some time job seeking, you need to indicate the time you spend for job seeking so that there's no lapse, there's no gap in your training and experience. And then after job seeking, if you join the first employer, then you move forward to that second employer. Then you move to 1.1, which is on the summary of the time spent. Now for the university, it is 60 months. And then you say on the job training, this should be more than 24 months. On design, should be more than 6 months. On operations and maintenance, should also be more than 6 months. Contract management and supervision should also be more than 6 months. So in your training and experience, you need to indicate that you have trained for at least 24 months, and you have spent some time in design for at least 6 months. You have also been able to do some operations and maintenance, and you have also participated in contract management and supervision. Now we go to 2.0.
We call this
2.0.
that issue.
I'm getting some interference.
Yeah, Bernard, please mute your microphone.
Okay.
Actually, other members like KPL1 also, and somebody else is down there. Bernard Marintat, please. All right, engineer, continue. Maybe the noise is now on your background, I think. Is it?
Now it's okay. I think it's clear.
There is somebody else, KPL146 something. I can't get in touch with him. His mic is the one that is on, and I think is in some restaurant or something. Engineer, because you're a host, you can remove him. You can remove him. Thank you. Proceed. Engineer, proceed. Engineer Ohaga. right.
Engineer Ohaga. Okay, let me reach out to him.
Can we continue?
Yes, engineer,
Yes.
you can continue.
Okay, now we go to the detailed report, and this is on 2.0. Now, whatever you have as your summary, now in this particular section, you will give a detailed description of that summary number 1.0 and 1.1. And in this case, you will give the training period from the university until today where you are working. And this one should show the period of training, the name of the supervisor, the duration of the training, and the description of the training and experience. Now, in table number 1, you're just giving a summary, but in this particular section, you will be providing a detailed description of what you have been doing since you graduated. And as we've stated clearly, there should be no gap in this particular training from graduation to date as you narrate your detailed training and experience report. Okay, and you're saying the font size of the report should be in Times Romans. That is the font style. The font size should be 12, and the work should be justified. The spacing should be 1.5, and the practical training and experience should be at least 24 months as illustrated in table number 1.1. And then the report should be 4 in number, and they should be spiral bound as you submit that particular document for training and experience report. The appendixes, you should have copies of the training certificates and any other certificates that you have acquired during your training and experience. We should have some photos as evidence of the works that you have done. And we are saying that if you can have them in color, that would suffice for us, and any other schemes that you have undertaken during your training and experience report. Now that marks the end of the project, the training and experience report. And now we shall move to the project report. Now, project report also, the first page looks like this. We have developed this particular template for you. All you require to do is just to put the project name here, project report on the title, and then you put your name down here and the registration number for EBK and IEK. Now, page number 2 is again the declaration and certification. Again, we have developed that one for members. You just require to put your name and the registration number for you and the supervisor down there under certification. Now, the second page would have the table of contents, the list of figures, the list of tables, and the abbreviation in that order. Now, 1.1, which is the first chapter, 1.1 is in the introduction. Now, you are required to give a brief introduction of the project, and you are saying this should be in about a half a page, just the background of the problem that you are trying to solve, how you solve that particular problem, and the benefits that will accrue out of that particular project. That should be covered under 1.0, and it should be in a half a page. At the very most, it should be 1 page. And then you move to 2.0, which is a very important aspect, and this is on the problem statement. This is why you are doing that particular project, and you should be able to illustrate that there exists a problem of engineering in nature that you are trying to give a solution. And this should be very concise, it should be precise, and we are saying it should be in about 2 lines, because a problem that is concise is you're able to understand what the problem is at a glance. So this is very critical for an engineer when you're trying to do your project statement. Then 3.0 is on the objectives. You could give some specific objectives of your project that you are trying to achieve. And then we move to 4.0. This is analysis of possible solution. We say an engineer should always be able to provide alternative solutions to any given problem. An engineer will not provide only one solution to a problem. You should be able to give us alternative solutions so that the client can be able to choose out of those possible solutions. The only choice will be dependent on how much those particular choices cost, so that the client can choose the least cost of those alternatives. So you will have to analyze at least 2 possible solutions to your problem. And that one is provided under 4.0. This one will require that you do both technical justification and financial justifications. So you do your technical analysis of the possible solution number 1. You also do economic analysis for that solution number 1. And then you move to the second possible solution. You do your technical analysis and economic analysis. And then we will be able to choose out of those 2 analyses. Then we go to 5.0. 5.0 is now the selection of the best alternative. Now, based on the financial justification, you should be able to choose as an engineer that option that gives you the least cost. Otherwise, all the choices should be able to sort out the problem completely. So the choices that you give, or rather the alternatives that you give under 4.0, should be able to sort out the problem at hand 100%. The client will only be able to choose based on the lowest price of that particular design. Now we move to 6.0. 6.0, you are required to give analysis of the current situation. This basically gives out the problem at hand as you speak the problem on the ground that you are trying to sort out. So give some data on the current situation on the ground so that somebody can be able to pick up the magnitude of the problem that you are trying to sort out. So this particular chapter 6.0 gives that particular opportunity for a candidate to elaborate on the problems that exist on the ground so that we can be able to see that for sure there's something that the engineer is trying to sort out of this. So all the data that you have, all the background information that you have should be captured under 6.0. Then you move to 7.0. Now this is where the engineering aspects are being captured, because now here you are doing the design of the preferred solution. You do all the consideration in the design that you have. If you're an electrical engineer, you're doing a design for supply of power or supply of a building, then you should actually be able to state the considerations that you do in conductor selections, in cable selections, even in poles, and even in the designs of switch gears. You should be able to capture them under 6.0, under 7.0 in the design of the preferred solution. So here is where many times the questions arise, because here is where you are able to illustrate all the engineering principles that you have, all the considerations that you have considered in coming up with this design for this solution. Then we move to 8.0, which is the bills of quantities. Now, when you're doing that particular design, you must be able to cost that particular design. And we have given you a format on how you need to cost this particular design. And it has the unit, the description of that particular equipment or material, the unit, the quantity, the unit cost, and then the total amount in terms of Kenya shillings or US dollars. And then you also need to illustrate the labor component and the transport component, because that one will constitute the total amount of the cost of the project. So from your design, from your drawings, you are able to come up with these bills of quantities, and somebody is able to see if it takes that particular map or that particular drawing, is able to relate to the bill of quantities. So that if you say you require this number of conductor, you require this number of cables in the design, or require this number of length of fiber optic cable, then it should be able to be captured in these bills of quantities from number 1 to whichever number of materials of equipments that we're using. And should remember to put the labor component and the transport component, because that one is very critical in getting the total cost for the project. Then you move to 9.0. 9.0 is cost-benefit analysis. And this one is only applied where you think it is applicable for you. If the project has been implemented and you can be able to demonstrate that for sure this particular project was viable, it was feasible to invest in this particular project. And we are using some of the economic parameters, and this is on the payback period, the return on investment, and the net present value. So if you calculate these three parameters and you're able to show that this particular project was able to pay back within under 5 years, and the net present value is positive, that will show that this project is feasible and it is worth investing in. Then you move to number 10, which is the implementation project. If you have designed a scheme and you are in a position to do the implementation bit, then you are able to present that implementation in terms of your planning. This one, the engineer, they are testing whether you are able to operate within the 3 constraints of project management. This is the project specification, which basically means the quality you are overseeing the quality of the project, whether you are able to complete this particular project within budget, and whether you are able to complete the project within the specified timelines. So those 3 constraints will be tested under the implementation, how you are able to plan for these jobs, how you execute the jobs, and eventually how you commission the project. And then 11.0, you just give a brief conclusion of your project, whether you met your objectives or not. So that one will be captured under 11.0. And then you give the references and the appendices that you have under appendices. And then the drawings, we are saying, the drawings should be very legible. We encourage candidates to use A1 for their drawings so that the examiners are able to read your drawings, because from the drawings, you are able to see what the bills of quantities would be like. And therefore, when you use A1 drawing material, papers, that would automatically give you legibility in terms of drawing. And we're also saying that you need to attach some photos of this project so that there is evidence enough that you have participated in this project from design or even during implementation. So these are some of the requirements that require that you need to attach when you are making your final documentation. These are some of the things we are talking about. The project that you present for registration should not be more than 5 years. So if you're starting your project now, you should be able to go with it and complete it so that it is not time barred. Because any project that is more than 5 years, of course, will not be accepted for registration. And we are saying that the title of your project report should connect to the problem statement. You are saying there's a problem, and therefore you must provide a solution to that problem. So the writing or the manner in which you format your title should link to the problem statement. Drawings must be approved by the supervising engineer, and every page of the document must be initialed by your supervisor. And we are saying that the drawings should be related to the BQs, so that when you look at the BQ, you can relate it back to the drawing. The pages, as we have said, should all be initialed from page number 1 all the way to the appendices. The project report should be between 2,000 and 3,000 words. These are just guidelines for you to be able to follow, but it is not cast in stone. That if you have some information, important information, you should not be able to leave it out, since you cannot be able to fall within 2,000 to 3,000 words. Again, we are saying the font size should be in Times Romans and the size should be 12, and you should justify your work. And for the tables, the title should be on the top, and the figures, the titles should be at the bottom. When you're using some mathematical equation, please let's use our mathematical tools that we know. We should not write them using our keyboards, so that your work looks professional. And the title page, the title page should not have any page numbers. And again, for the project report, you should have 4 spiral bound copies, because 1 will be for the candidate and the 3 will be for the panelists during the interview. So when you have 4 spiral bound, you will submit 4, and then you will go back home with 1, which you will use during the interview. 3 is very easy. With 50%, you will have become a PE. And you can see the way the marks are distributed. Training and experience report will give you 10 marks. And therefore, if you follow the format that we have given to you, you already have 10 marks. The project report will give you 30 marks. So if you follow the project format as given, you already have 30 marks. So even before attending the interview, you see you already have 40 marks. And therefore the interview, you'll be looking for only 10 marks to be able to pass.